Our goal is not to try to prioritize our schedule, but it's scheduling your priorities. Well, it's about time you start looking for ways to get yourself more organized. Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in. Schedule. Do you keep a schedule? Not just for your projects, but for yourself? Could I look into your phone today, open up the calendar app or whatever calendar system you're using and be able to tell a story based on what you have in your calendar? If you're not out there actively every day being purposeful with your time, somebody else is going to take it from you. Someone else is going to come in and strong arm you into taking that time, that same time that you could be working on your business. They're taking it from you. Scheduling is something that is absolute priority as a business owner. And it specifically drives directly into sales, because if you're not organized, how are you going to have not just the time, but the bandwidth to constantly be showing up at 100% so you can help your clients say yes? If you're so scattered because you don't have a schedule or you don't follow a schedule, you kind of just wing it each day or hope like heck you can get everything done because nothing ever happens on time in contracting, right? I hate to tell you that if you don't have some schedule in place, if you don't have some way of tracking where you're going to be for today, tomorrow, and for the rest of the week and the rest of the month, the inefficiencies that come from not having a schedule are incredible. Our goal is not to try to prioritize our schedule, but it's scheduling your priorities. Here's what I want to get into in this episode. If you're the kind of person who doesn't use a schedule, doesn't like to be confined with the, if you will, handcuffs of a schedule, well, it's about time you start looking for ways to get yourself more organized. And I know I'm going to piss some people off with this, and that's okay. Because if you truly want to grow your business and scale and all those things that you keep hearing all over Facebook and social media and Instagram, and everybody wants to grow and make millions of dollars and all that stuff, it's never going to happen unless you have some organization in your life, specifically with your time around business. What are you doing each and every day? If I opened your phone, what kind of story would I tell from what I see in your calendar? Think about that. Do you prioritize things, or does your schedule jump in and become your priority? So let's just run the scenario that if you do have a calendar and you do follow it, do you prioritize that schedule, or are you being purposeful and putting in your priorities, potentially family, workout, eating well, time to read scripture, time to pray, to meditate? Are you actively plugging that into your schedule every week? Because let's face it, I don't care how much you think you're going to sell this year or how good a salesperson you think you are. If you don't come every day with a bucket full of joy, of peace, of gratitude in your heart, your clients are going to, you can't give, let me put it this way, you can't give what you don't have. So if you're coming and running in on fumes with your clients each and every day when you go to your sales meetings and you're barely holding it all together, your clients can feel that. And the way you get around running on fumes and shooting off the hip is by prioritizing a schedule, right? Are you prioritizing, first of all, scheduling? And then are you scheduling your priorities first? Which is it? Which is it? When you look at your schedule, do you tell your kids and your wife that you can't do stuff? Do you tell your husband you can't make it because you've got meetings? Or do you schedule family time first and then all the stuff for the company comes in second? Which is it? I'll be honest with yourself. I'm not here to judge you. I'm simply here to offer you an option, a different way to think, a different perspective. Imagine if you scheduled your priorities first. Imagine if you took all those things that your family would like to have from you, the time, and if you put that in your schedule first on the week, the month, the year, and then your business stuff all fits around that. How would that change the way you approach life? How would that change the way you approach your sales? How would that change the way you approach your business? I will say that this shift in my life changed everything. When I went from running like a firefighter around, constantly putting fires out on projects and making sure my clients were taken care of all the time and constantly draining my bucket. I never spent time filling it back up. So when I'd go out to meet with clients, I'd go out and I'd sit down and have, a good sales call with clients. Or sometimes I was just so exhausted, I had nothing left to give. I tried to be happy. I tried to smile, but to be quite honest with you, it was a struggle. And clients can feel that. They know when you're being inauthentic. They know when you're not truly the way you're trying to show up, like your big smile on your face, but your physiology, your body language, it completely tells a different story, and they know it. And they're like, well, I don't know if I trust this person because they're trying to smile when I know they're exhausted and shot. And I don't know if I can trust that. And next thing you know, you don't get the job. So this directly impacts how you show up to your clients. And if you're not prioritizing things, if you're not scheduling those priorities, your health, your spiritual, your mental fitness first, and even working out, if you're not scheduling those things in your schedule and then building your business schedule around them, that business will just take over. It will run your life. You will get up every morning dreading it, thinking, oh man, I've got this whole thing I got to get done today. I've got all these fires to put out. I got clients that aren't happy. I've got deadlines I can't meet. I've got rain coming. I've got all the excuses in the world. And if you don't take time for yourself, you will burn out. Your stress levels will go through the roof and you will have overwhelm like you've never believed is possible. And some of that then transfers home to your family. You become shorter. You become more distant, oftentimes just trying to get away from everything that looks like a responsibility, because deep down, you're just tired. So if this sounds like you, there is a way out. There is a path forward. It's about making sure that you're scheduling your priorities first. Don't prioritize your schedule in a way that whatever the client needs, they get. I mean, you should only be booking sales calls with your clients Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It's that simple. If you're booking Saturday appointments and Sunday appointments and evening appointments and extreme early morning appointments, your customers are running your ass. That's not how this works. Professionals, do you think doctors and lawyers, do you think they run their practices that way? You want to be treated like a professional. You want to be paid like a professional and get premium for your services. We have to start as an industry acting like professionals. And the way we do that is by making sure we will only tolerate certain hours that we work. And you'd be surprised if a client truly wants you to do the project and you only have time Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, they will make the time for you. And if they won't, because it's impossible for them to do that, you'd be surprised how they'll move things around. And next thing you know, they can do a Zoom call. The whole front side of your sales conversation should all be phone calls and Zooms before you ever walk out on there, until you actually have at least a 90% surety in your heart that this client, both decision makers, are ready to move forward with this project and pay your design fees. If you don't have that before you go out, it's like you've got a bow and arrow and you're shooting at the target with a blindfold on. We need to, as an industry, slow down. We need to work on building relationships, not just looking for revenue. It's about building relationships first. We got to slow the process down to do that. And when we start putting some guardrails on our time, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, you'd be surprised how clients make time for you. And all of a sudden that changes the frame when you go out to meet with them on your sales calls. All of a sudden they're thinking, well, this guy, he's in high demand. This girl's in high demand. We really should be make sure we make our meeting, because we don't have another time in the next 2 weeks that makes sense that that'll work. So I highly recommend anyone out there listening to consider pulling back on the reins on exactly how available you are. Because if you're available tomorrow or the next day, what do you think your clients are thinking? Well, I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, this guy's not busy. He's got all the time in the world to be out here today or tomorrow or the next day. He comes out on Saturdays and Sundays. He obviously has nothing else going on. So what happens when that project starts? When you do sell it and you get that project, guess what they expect? Clients start to expect you to be available via text or phone call all the time. And then you get frustrated that those clients call you or text you on a Friday night when you're out with your family or friends, a Saturday or a Sunday, because they're just used to you always being around. So it's all about the show up front. You'll do whatever it takes to get the project signed. And then afterward, you get pissed off because the clients keep calling you and they keep calling you at weird times. And I remember a guy once back, because I used to do this, guys. I'm not here to judge you. I'm telling you right now that this is something I did for years. I thought I had to always be available. I thought I always had to be ready, specifically before that first check is signed, before they sign up with us, so that no matter what they need, when they need it, I'm there waiting. And here's what I found. They had no respect for us. They just thought whatever I say, they do. And when I say jump, they say how high. And this was a problem, because then during the construction of the project, it was nothing more than what it felt like, at least, is that their money was greener than everybody else's. They started demanding things of us. And what was I going to do then? I've already built this relationship and expectation that I jump as high as they say and pick up my phone whenever they call. What happens when you start taking some of that power back? What if you start changing the narrative around that? As a professional, would your doctor or lawyer do that? Would they take calls at just about any time? Think about it. So what I challenge you to do is to look at your schedule and say, okay, have I planned my priorities in here? Do I have time for God? Do I have time for my family? Do I have time for my fitness and my health? If the answer is no, if I looked at your calendar and don't see those things plugged in, well, that's something to consider. When are you putting time in for that? Or is that just kind of happening after all the work is done? Because the last thing you guys want is to work your entire life to build this business and at the end have money and not have health, to not have a connection to God, to not have a family, because they're only going to last so long before they walk away and be like, look, we see what his priorities are. He worships that business and gives us the scraps. We don't want that. We want to be able to finish after we own business for all these years, where we want to finish strong. And finishing strong means that you've got money in the bank, savings, that you have a strong family connection, you got a strong connection to God, and also that you can leave and go on vacation and do all those things as you please, to have control and freedom in your life. And those things don't happen when your clients run your schedule. And the way it first starts is when you start to prioritize having a schedule and then scheduling your priorities first. So, guys, when it comes, you're probably thinking like, what does this have to do with sales? Well, I've already explained that throughout this episode, that if you let your clients run your schedule, that'll run all the way through from sales all the way through the build side. They're going to expect certain things. It's all about setting expectations and delivering honor above them. And when you set it from the very beginning that you are going to be of high value, which means other people need, want, and desire your work as well, you're not going to be available every 30 seconds. It might take time to get a text back or a phone call back. You need to set that expectation early. And that's where it falls in very early in your sales cycle, which then flows directly into your build side. And if you can get those two right, and you can set that premium experience for the client up front, set the expectation of when you're available, that'll translate into the build side, and the entire project becomes much more exciting for everybody. You will feel your clients be more grateful because they understand that you have guardrails, that you have a line in which you will tolerate and not tolerate. There's respect that comes from that. But if they feel like they can just push you around, they're going to do that on timing. They're going to do that on budget. They're going to do that on everything if they feel like they can push you around. So it's about taking back that frame, creating a schedule, and then scheduling your priorities for you and your family first, and then business afterward. So guys, I hope at least one listener out there that this has shaken their soul enough to pull their phone out and to start looking at how they're scheduling their lives. Because I'm telling you, once you start putting the schedule together, everything changes. All of a sudden you look at this and you're like, wow, I know I don't have to sit here and try to think out of my head every morning of what I need to do. And I got up late or my alarm clock didn't go off. And I'm going to like, no, when you have it scheduled, there's something that aligns inside of your soul that you know you need to do things, and things get done. And there's nothing better at the end of the day, guys, than looking at a list of things that need to be done and see it all done early, because you had focus and clarity and you got a layout for the next day. You could see exactly what you needed. You saw the mission for the day and you knew how you're going to hit all those goals in that day. So guys, I hope this hits somebody out there. I really appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next week.